All right. So my name's David Greppel. I'm one of the teachers here at JCL. And when I was asked by Shimon to prepare something for this, he sort of said, do something that most people don't really think about or go beyond the ordinary, as he said. And when he said that to me, I was like, okay, people say David's the guy who does all the app stuff, so I can't really do it again because I did that last year. Now, what I will talk to you about is not necessarily what to or how we would hack teaching itself. It's things you can do during the lesson or before the lesson to sort of give you an edge. All right, but before we do that, what's teaching? All right, so I would say it's not telling people about things and expect them to remember them, right? That was a long time ago. Now, I actually wanted to see what Cambridge Dictionary says, what is teaching, and it's the job of being a teacher. So, because I wanted to do something really cool where I have like one of those, well, it's pronounced and then there's a cool definition, and I got that. I created my own sort of definition, and it's helping people learn about things and acquire new skills, right? And so that's one half of what I'll be talking about. We'll be doing that. So what's a hack? So is it something done by people who wear dark hoodies, you can't see their face, and they try and attack you on the internet? Is it that? People that look like this? My definition of the word hack, it's used to describe a different or crafty and often smarter way to complete something, right? Do you guys watch those like 5-minute hack videos, like life hacks? So I thought this was a great opportunity to share my favorite one, which is this. You can use a tennis ball, put a smiley face on it, and it can hold things for you. So what I'll try and hack today with you is how to hack silence in the classroom. What happens when there's an inactive period. So for example, when you have a mixed ability group and some people are fast, so they finish and then they're usually just sitting around. So what you can do there, all right? We're gonna look at time management. So how to organize your time better. What are some things to ask yourself? Revision as well. I have a nice activity that I use for that, which I think is much more fun for the students as well. Homework, I think, is a nice tip that I'll have for you guys. Very simple. And how to hack the student as well. All right. Now, let's go to the first one. So silence. And so to remove silence from the classroom, what's one strategy?
Play some music.
Look at that. Did you get my presentation? I didn't send you my presentation. Why do you know that? Now, when you introduce music into a classroom, by the way, there's a great workshop done by Jakub, sitting at the back there. You can ask him about it, what he does. Now, you need to be really careful when you introduce music into a classroom, or any sound, for that matter. Now, what should you think about when you play a song when some students are doing a matching activity? Exactly, yeah? You can use it as a time limit for your activities. Now, for example, I found a great song to do when they practice the past simple. Do you guys know Torn by Natalie Imbruglia? Yes. Yeah? I'm not going to sing it for you, but YouTube it. I'm not, because I don't actually remember the words, which might be a lie. But anyhow, it's relevant because it practices what they're writing right now, and they can hear it in there while they're working on it. Obviously, don't play it too loud. There's a time limit, so I'll give them 3 minutes. I think the song's about 3 minutes 20. They have 3 minutes to do it. They can also feel when the song is coming to an end that they need to pick it up if they're lagging behind a bit. And of course, it shouldn't be too distracting. Now, a week ago, I started teaching directions, or how to give directions at one of my lessons. And I noticed very quickly that they're completely fine, one-on-one, to do it with each other. But then I introduced traffic noise into the room. And it suddenly got slightly more difficult for them because there was random, like the sirens blaring. Some people, it was from New York City, so there's some swear words in it too. But it sort of changed the dynamic. And what David Wagner was talking about later is to create this magic circle, right? And if you put these people into the situation and put the sound around it, because if they're traveling somewhere and they ask for directions, it's not a nice quiet room usually. Yeah, there's sound involved. And if they also have, I think, the sensory memory, whatever it's sort of called, if you have more stimuli around you when you're learning something, you're much more likely to remember it later. So if you teach them that, to be able to do it with traffic on, for example, they will be more likely to be able to use it when they travel somewhere or are somewhere. So that's, for example, silence. Now, when someone asks you, when you ask a question, there's a dead room, right? My only hack that I can give you guys is to just be much louder than the silence. Now, inactive periods. So when you give them an activity, some people finish sooner than others. They can listen to the rest of the song, for example, or you can tell them, okay, go on to the next one, or you can do something else. And I've started doing this about a month ago or so, and actually I've started giving them riddles. So as I give them instructions and they start, I start writing riddles on the board, really simple children's riddles, and if they're finished, they can try it. For example, what do you buy to eat but never actually eat? Utensils, very good. Cutlery, plates, yeah, pans, all these things, but it'll make them think about it. Now, I brought some for you guys. So, a king, queen, and 2 twins lay in a large room. How are there no adults in the room? Sounds pretty simple. Yes? They're beds. Very good. An opportunity to teach. Name 4 days of the week which start with the letter T. Today, tomorrow, Tuesday, Thursday. Very good. Smart guy. All right. Brownie points for you. All right. What can you hold in your right hand but never in your left hand? Your left hand. Your left hand, exactly. Very good, yeah? All right, good. Now, there's hundreds of these on the internet. Just type in children's riddles, and you'll have a list for the next year. Good. Time management. So, about a year ago, I said yes to too many courses. And then what happened was that I then said yes to doing more tasks as well. And suddenly, I realized that when you have a schedule like this, and I think to myself, okay, well, it's Monday, so I have 4 days to prepare for this. If you actually look at this day, do I actually have 4 days? So what I actually started to do, instead of telling myself, okay, I have 5 days to do this, I have 2 weeks to do this, instead of saying the word days, I started to say, I have hours to do it, right? And for example, Jakub, the methodologist, when he gives me tasks, he said, this shouldn't take you more than 3 hours. All right? And that actually really helps me, because I know when he says that, if I look at my schedule and I know I don't want to work over the weekend, then I have, well, also, I didn't really have this because I'm traveling, so I can't work, right? So I have a very limited amount of time to actually do these things. So if you start thinking in sort of actual time when you're planning your lessons, for example, it'll make a big difference in terms of planning your whole day. And especially for new teachers, I think it's quite nice, because how long do you guys spend planning? Jenny, what was yours? What did you say? A lot of hours. Okay. So let's say 2 for a lesson. Eventually that'll go down and down, and you'll start to see that the less time you have, the less time you spend planning these lessons, the more time you'll have for yourself. And you'll be a much better master of your time. Revision. So, when it comes to revising, what do you guys usually do? Do you just give them a test and have them write something? So what I started doing, actually, is I take the game approach, and I sort of merge it with what Laura just said, use it in context. So do you guys know the game Jeopardy? Mm-hmm. All right. So there's actually a really neat website. It's called playfactile.com. And you can create these very simple but very clear-looking Jeopardy games. To create this takes maybe, 20 minutes if you have the questions for you. And you can load it up on your computer at home, all right? And then you can bring it, and without the internet, you can play the game, actually, all right? But it's very simple to play with them. Students know it because there's a Czech version of this. I don't know what it's called, but maybe that's the one. And And with this, each sort of thing is a question for them to, or a task they have to achieve. Yeah. This one's about traveling. So I think at the hotel was book a room at this place, right? And then it turns into a little role play for about a minute or something like that. Yeah. And that way I can see if they can really do it. Right? The nice thing about this is that if I can see that they're really struggling, I can just bring it in the next lesson again and do it over again. I can go home and change some of the things around and modify it as well so that they don't actually know the answers already. Right? So that's why I think because when someone says, okay guys, I'm going to test you, they hear the word test and they're like, ugh, this lesson's going to suck. So, but if student knows that, oh, David, he's going to bring in a game, it's going to be a fun lesson. We'll see that we didn't really learn much, but it'll be fun anyway, all right? But if, let's say the first lesson was like a massive struggle bus, and I'll tell them, okay, guys, this was we can do better. I'll bring this in next week again, all right? And you sort of know what's on it, so you know what to practice, all right? But practice it. And if they know that they're going to play a game that's going to test what they'll be doing, they're much more encouraged to actually go back and study it. And I'll give you guys a little thing about it for homework-wise. So when you say homework to students, often you get this, you get like cats. One student actually sent me this a few days ago that I'm the homework monster for. So I took that because I asked him to fill out one thing online. Because as he says, he's too busy doing nothing. But when it comes to homework, how many of you guys have students who take the textbook or whatever they did, stick it in a drawer in their desk, and then leave it there, and then take it out 20 minutes before the lesson? Again, I can say, yeah. So what I started to do, I started to realize that I'm not sort of surrounding my students with the language enough. And so I started to think about where are my students, or what are they doing during the day, and what do they see during the day? And I used to tell them, okay, can you write down a few things on this paper that you learned today, or the words, and stick it on your refrigerator? And then I told myself, well, they're gone for most of the day, so they don't really stare at the refrigerator that much. And so I said, okay, well, that's a silly idea, David, so why not make them do it on their computer? All right, so I know Andre was quite strict about not putting Post-its on offices here, on the office computers here, but if you go to your students, many of them do this, right? And if you will tell you at the end of the lesson, if you have a list of new things they learned, write down 3 things that you're going to look at for the whole week, or what did you like the most from this lesson that you learned? And you're going to stare at it for how many hours for a week? Exactly. Too many. If you're giving somebody sort of how to write emails properly, you can put phrasal verbs here for emails, yeah? And they can see it and they'll actively use it, and eventually they'll stop. I have a student who has the list, the computer's a bit higher, and it goes this high, sort of the list, yeah? And she uses it. And now whenever I email her or she wants to cancel a lesson, we have an agreement that she has to use at least 3 of them in that email, all right? Now, I'm guessing Tom talked about this a bit, but I think it's not really a hack, it's more common sense. But it's hack in a way that you'll tell them, instead of having them write an email, write to me. Yeah, make it real. Don't write some imaginary thing. Make it real. Yeah, write to me. Present something to me next class. Yeah, again, make it real for them. Make it relevant. Make it practical. Sell something to me. Have you guys seen the Wolf of Wall Street, whatever? Sell me a pen. Yeah, so don't do that because that's going to freak people out. But anything. Take something out of your wallet. Sell this to me, right? For people to practice these things. Call me. I have a thing with a student where he has to randomly call me. Hopefully he doesn't call me now, all right? All right, if he has to randomly call me, we have to have a discussion over it, and he has to use things that we learned during the lesson. Good. Last one, how to hack the student. So as I'll mention Monika. Now, when she did their How to Be a Human Teacher talk, like Jakub, it spoke to me, and I started to realize that if I'm going to meet these people so often, I meet them more often than their friends do. I meet them more often than their parents do. And so that creates a sort of, I would say, bond or relationship where I think it's really useful to have a very nice and friendly relationship with your student. Yeah. If they invite you out to go for a beer, obviously judge the situation, but it shouldn't be that much of a problem. If they want to discuss something from their personal life, obviously put a boundary around it, but it shouldn't be an issue. Be their friend. Sometimes just randomly bring chocolate to the lesson. I ask for their birthdays during the first lesson, and when it's their birthday, I bring them something. All right? If I know that I have kids, I'll ask them, how are the kids handling school now? Are they enjoying it? How is their English teacher? And if you know these things, you create a much nicer bond. Now, so thank you, and welcome to the club. I didn't think of this too very much, but thank you guys.